Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Josh Thomas here from thebitblock.com, and I am joined by Andre Seegers of Game Explain.
That's me.
That is you. And we're going to be talking about Mario Party 10 here today for the Wii U. Which we don't know a whole lot about, but I think, well, first of all, before we jump into Mario Party 10, I think what we need to do here, just to let everybody know our history and our feelings towards the Mario Party franchise. Andre, what is your all-time favorite version of Mario Party?
So it's definitely not one of the more recent ones.
Okay.
So my all-time favorite is Mario Party 2. I felt that game just nailed, everything the first game was aspiring to be, and just perfected it. Well, maybe not perfected it, but like relative to the rest of the series, they perfected it.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Like I had a lot of fun boards. I liked, how they had the themed elements, and the board game and the mini games were a really good selection. And after that, I would say Mario Party 1 would be my second favorite, and then the rest just kind of feel like a random. Like, they all just kind of blur together for me.
So you're really old school with Mario Party.
Yeah, I'm pretty old school, yeah.
It's funny, because I think that's a pretty popular opinion that a lot of people think Mario Party 2 is the best one.
Well, yeah, but it's the right choice.
Well, here's the deal. I don't know if a lot of people noticed this, but Mario Party 2 may be the least ambitious version of Mario Party, because a lot of the minigames are actually ported from Mario Party 1.
Yeah, they chose the good ones, carried them over, and then made a whole bunch of other good ones.
All right. I'll just agree with you for the sake of argument on that one. I would actually say my favorite Mario Party is Mario Party 6. Because...
Okay, hold on. Okay, which one? Yeah, which one is that?
Okay, so Mario Party 6 is on the GameCube, obviously. And they introduced this really cool day and night mechanic to the game boards and the minigames.
Okay.
So if it was daytime on a board, it would be a little bit different than if it were nighttime on the board, and it would change every, I believe, 10 turns. So
you know what other game did that? Mario Party 2 in one of the board gages?
It did, the Haunted Mansion one.
That's right.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
That's they connect. See, we're in sync here. But it was just so cool to see, like, you could play the same minigame, but if it was night, it plays a little bit differently. So it was really cool. They also introduced the microphone, which wasn't great. It was kind of pointless, but it was something stupid and new to mess around with, and it was just optional, unlike other ideas later on in the Mario Party series, which we'll get to.
There's a lot of stupid new ideas across Mario Party.
Yeah. Okay, so you like Mario Party 2 the best. I like Mario Party 6 the best. In the entire, and this is a really hard question to answer because there are so many. What are some of the mini games that stand out to you as being really, really fun?
Oh, that really is a hard question because, Mario Party, it's, there's a lot of really good ones, but, they all kind of, like, mix together for me. But, if I had to choose, one of my favorites, of course, is the classic Bumper Balls.
Oh, yes.
That one, just ridiculous fun. I don't know why that's just not a staple in every Mario Party.
Why is there not a Bumper Ball mode?
Right? Or just a whole game, even. Like, why isn't that just not like a downloadable eShop game, right?
We always come up with ideas in these discussions.
Right?
For Captain Toad and...
Exactly. Seriously. Beyond that, I would also say, like, if I had to choose a genre of minigames, I really like the 2 versus 2 and 1 versus 3 minigames in general. Okay. Like, I just like how they switch it up, forcing you to play on a team. Or in the 1 versus 3 games, I like how they make it, where everyone has... they have different roles.
Right.
So, like, you have 3 people on a team in one, and then the single player by himself usually has a completely different thing they're doing, which actually ties in well with the Mario Party 10 games we'll be talking about.
Exactly. You know what's funny? I actually absolutely hated Mario Party 9. I didn't...
I wouldn't say I hated it, but I never went back and played it again.
It was so wrong on so many levels.
It was just so, blah, right? Like, it was, like, when I was playing it, I'm like, this is okay. Why would I ever play this over, any number of other Mario Parties, basically? Or any other game, really.
Well, the reason I bring up why I don't like Mario Party 9 is because you were talking about how you really like 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 2. In Mario Party 9, they did away with that for them. I don't think they had 1 versus 3 or whatever.
They almost did it with minigames entirely. Because, like, you no longer had them every turn, right? It was only when you landed on the minigame spot.
Oh, was it?
And that often just didn't happen. Like, there would be times where you'd only have a few minigames per board game.
Oh gosh, I literally don't even remember that.
It was a very forgettable game.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Why would you take away 1 versus 3 and 2? That's like what you want. Mario Party should be designed to anger people and destroy friendships.
Okay, so that actually is why Mario Party 1 is also one of my top tier games. But I feel like Mario Party 2, it kind of like smoothed out those elements to a degree, which also, is partially why I like that game as well. But Mario Party 1 is like the king of just aggravation. Like, you could just destroy a friend in a single turn or a single round of that game. And it was amazing for that reason. Like, if we were playing, like, our videos would be amazing if we could play that game together.
Has Mario Party 10 been announced as possibly being online, or have they come out and said, no, this isn't online?
Have they said anything about that game?
I know, exactly.
Right? I think we kind of glossed over real quick what your favorite minigame was, though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I was going to say, but I cheated a little bit because I actually have a list of 5.
Oh, you cheated everything,
yep,
and you still lose.
I've got a list of 5. There are a lot of minigames that I love, but I agree with Bumper Balls.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a fan of Mario Party, that has to be on your favorite minigame list.
Right? It's just inexcusable otherwise.
I love Shy Guy Says.
I would not disagree with that. That is a fun one. Like, on paper, it doesn't sound that great, but it works really well in practice.
Right. It's so nerve-wracking.
And that's actually one that was in both Mario Party 1 and 2, as I recall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of them is based in, like, a pirate ocean theme, the other one is in the cloud.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
I also like, this is a random one, there's a minigame called Eats a Pizza, where you're just, like, constantly trying to eat this big, giant pizza, and whoever eats the most wins. But yeah, there's a lot. Cannonball Fun is another fun one. It's in Mario Party 6. You're just in these like cannonball machines that are like hovercrafts, and you're just running around trying to hit each other.
Okay.
And then the other one that I wrote down for some reason is Battery Ram, which is a really weird pick, but it's a 2 versus 2 player minigame where you're both trying to guide you're like small in a little blocky toy area, and you're trying to guide a battery to a spaceship. But it's really tight corners, so you have to work together to like nudge it through these little areas and this little narrow pathway, and it gets you so angry at the other person, and that's why it's amazing.
And which Mario Party was that from?
That's from Mario Party 7.
Okay. I think there's a couple in there that I didn't actually play. Like there's like a two or three game gap that I just skipped entirely.
Listen,
so I just had it with the series.
I hate Mario Party 9, but I still played it. You gotta play them all.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, you don't have to play the Game Boy version.
I have to now because it's my job to, but back then when I had the choice.
So let's move on to talking exclusively about Mario Party 10. First thing we need to talk about is Bowser Party.
Right. I mean, that's just going to be a big mode in the game.
That is primarily the mode they showed off. Did they allow you to play that at E3?
Yeah, I think that was... they had 2 types of minigames that I recall being played at E3. They had, I think, the generic, for like a better word, 4-player minigames. Then they had the Bowser mode.
Okay.
Which actually, is pretty distinct because it's 5 players and one person plays as Bowser.
Mm-hmm. Which could be an interesting concept.
I like the idea of it simply because it ties into the whole 1 versus 3 thing I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Where Bowser fundamentally has a different role in these compared to other players. Where he's basically trying to take out the other players. Mm-hmm. Whether it's like shooting fireballs or like I think in one he's like controlling a giant, basically a hamster wheel, right? Mm-hmm. And trying, which is actually a game that was basically from Mario Party 1 or 2, I believe.
2. It's called Shock, Drop, and Roll.
That's it.
Mario
exactly.
Party. My education on Mario Party minigames is embarrassing.
Second only to your Animal Crossing database, right?
This is true. But yeah, so the minigames they showed off at in the demo, or like what they've shown so far with Bowser Party, is Bowser's Wicked Wheel, which is the one you're talking about. Right. Where he spins the wheel and you have to stay alive. Bowser's Bad Breath, where you're tilting the gamepad around left and right to shoot fireballs at the other players on the TV screen. There's Bowser's Firebar Fury, where you're tilting it around to move bars of fire to try and hit the other players. And then there was Bowser's Pinball, which is basically a little pinball machine, and you have to try to hit the other players with the spiky balls.
Right.
So those are the minigames they showed off for Bowser's Party. Kind of okay, I guess.
I mean, they're all fine. They're a typical Mario Party fare, so I mean they're fine. Mm-hmm. I guess it's going to come down to how they are incorporated into the board game, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a context that surrounds the games that lends the minigames their meaning.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like how they show Bowser's hand, like it's clearly a first-person perspective to try and give the feeling that the player's hands are Bowser's hands, and it's like he's holding the gamepad and stuff. That's cute. I mean, I'm really hoping the thing is, like, how many of those Bowser minigames are they going to come up with? Because if there's only like 10, those are going to get old really quickly.
I guess that would fit in with the title of the game, right? That's why it's called Mario Party 10, actually. Just 10 mini games, we're done. Yeah, I mean, I do like, I guess there's that one, the one where Bowser's shooting fireballs, we should mention, too, that all the Bowser games revolve around the gamepad, right?
Right,
the person who's in the gamepad is Bowser. And in one of them where you're shooting fireballs, you get that first-person perspective, which ties into the whole thing, where you can see his hands and whatnot. So it's a cool touch. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of them, and they played fine at E3. They were all enjoyable. It's largely about how they fit in, otherwise.
Right, and the interesting thing about that is, will there be gamepad-specific minigames in just regular Mario Party mode?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing, right? Is it its own thing entirely, or is it incorporated into the rest of the game?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it would have to be its own thing if it depends on 5 players, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem they kind of have with making multiplayer party gamepad games. They don't know, because you can only have one gamepad, so it's always got to be that person is doing different. So, from what we've seen with normal minigames in the trailer, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like they're just playing with a Wii remote held on its side.
Yeah, right.
So is Bowser Party going to be the only real way that you're going to see gamepad minigames?
It does seem that way, right? I mean, I think the rest of E3, the other minigames that were playable were just Wii remote only.
Right. So, I mean, there was only 3 minigames that they had shown that were a normal minigame in the trailer. One of them was just the characters were hopping around on totems and grabbing fruit in a desert. That didn't look fun. There was some one where you're dodging bees. Again, that didn't look particularly fun. And then there was one where you were just taking out Cheep Cheeps with a Starman. And guess what? That one didn't look particularly fun either.
Yeah, that one wasn't particularly fun at E3. I can
so you
played
for. Those?
Yeah, I played those, or some of them. I mean, I can barely remember all of them. It's just all generic Mario Party stuff, right?
That's the problem.
Which I don't. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the Bowser one stood out to me the most. I actually do remember playing those.
Okay.
So I did like those, somewhat unique ideas for them. The rest is just typical fare, and I guess, I don't know, I think we're kind of seeing one problem here that I had with Mario Party 9, and to be fair, it's hard to judge, because we've seen only a few of these games, and presumably there's going to be more than 50, but one of my problems with Mario Party 9, I think, was the mini-games, they were often where every player is just kind of doing their own thing, right? Mm-hmm. You're not really directly competing. I mean, you are, but in a very passive sense, where you're going for a high score, as opposed to some of the games in Mario Party 2, which I'll just keep going back to. That's one I remember the most. That tank game, right? You're actively shooting other players. Mm-hmm. You're trying to take them out. And there are a ton of games based around that, bumper balls again.
Yeah.
But now it's often just, you're working, you're all on the same field, kind of going for the same overall goal. You're just trying to get the most points. And it just feels like such a passive experience. It's like golf, where it's a very passive thing.
It's very streamlined, I think, is the best word to describe Mario Party. So ND Cube is the developer of Mario Party since Mario Party 9. They also did Mario Party Island Tour, and now they're doing Mario Party 10. Apparently, some of the people that work at ND Cube on these games used to work at Hudson, and they worked on the Mario Party series. But I don't feel like the series has been the same since ND Cube took over.
It's weird, right? I kind of agree. Although, to be fair, there was that gap where I stopped playing them for a while, and I stopped playing because I thought they were already getting worse for me up to that point. So I feel like it's just been a slow, for me, it's been a transition to this point.
Okay.
But there has been something, I would agree that there has been something that feels a bit different about the ND Cube games. And they're also, the makers of Wii Party. Which I think you actually like, whereas I don't care about them at all. So
I really liked the original Wii Party on the Wii, and then the Wii U sequel felt like, okay, why did they make this? There's really no purpose. It just feels like a little bit of a lesser interesting version of the Wii game.
Right.
So I don't know if they really should be the team that's working on Mario Party. Unlike you said, you felt like Mario Party was slowly but surely declining. For me, it was a sudden boom with Mario Party 9. Up until Mario Party 9, I was on board. I was still there. Right. I was still a hardcore fan.
Wait, hold on. Even after Mario Party 8, the Wii one?
Yeah, I listen, I actually liked that one.
Oh.
But I did feel like it was starting to get linear, and that sucks for a Mario Party game board. Linearity does not work well on a game board at all.
No, and that was one of my big problems with the Mario Party Island Tour.
Oh, yeah.
First off, every board played differently in that game.
Right.
which the idea is not terrible, but I don't think it ultimately works so well for Mario Party, especially when most of those ideas weren't fleshed out. Like the first board game in that one was basically like it might as well have been completely linear because you had no choice over any action on that board. Everything was completely random. It was like playing freaking Candyland.
It was like not playing at all because you rolling the dice is random. You don't really know what you're gonna get. Nope. So it was like you had little to no input on any of those game boards at all. It was just hope that you get to the end.
Well, yeah, especially because even though it technically was non-linear in the sense there were different routes you could take, those also were decided randomly, as I recall. Like there was that stack of Goombas, and it's like, oh, you're going left or right. We'll decide for you, and you're heading in that direction.
Right, and they all, even if you branch off on another pathway, it will eventually, and rather quickly, meet up with the pathway you would have went to anyways.
Right, yeah, that's right.
They're not really like designed in a circle or a square format. They're designed as in, look, this is the start, this is the finish, you gotta get to the finish. Yep, and that is so painfully dull for a Mario Party game board.
It is. I mean, just the getting to the end mechanic, like, you know, whoever gets to the end wins, is just such a lame way of I mean, actually, it gets back to the Candyland thing, right? That is the point of Candyland. I don't know many adults that still play that game. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, it was always about getting the most power stars, right? That's what it's about. It's like it's managing your resources a bit, which is a weird thing to say about Mario Party. But it's like you have your coins, you manage those to get stars, and it's all about like managing those, managing that to win the game. Yeah,
it's funny because a lot of people are like, I've seen some comments where people will respond to people who are complaining about Mario Party 10 being different and new. It's not that we don't want different new ideas, it's that we don't want you to destroy the ideas that worked and just go with some radically stupid, not fun, different idea.
I actually equated it to Jurassic Park: The Lost World in my review of Mario Party 9, where the creator is it John Hammond who made Jurassic Park, and he's like, "Don't worry, we learned from our mistakes last time." And then Jeff Goldblum's like, "Yeah, but you're making all new mistakes this time."
Exactly.
That's how I feel about the series. Like, they tried new ideas, which I'm all in favor of. They're just not good ideas.
Could you please promise me that every Game Explain review from now on will somehow reference Jeff Goldblum?
I can't promise it, but I will try to aim for that. It's a good aspiration.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I feel I'm maybe a little bit more of a Mario Party fanatic than you. Is that fair to say?
Well, it's. I mean, of the series, yeah. Like, I actually am a huge fan of the first. I would even say 3 games. I actually like 3 as well. But among my friend group, like, it's starting to get old at that point, which is why it doesn't stand out to me as much. But the first 3 had a very solid foundation. And I still go back and play like number 2 whenever my friends are around. Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the series I haven't really cared about. So it sounds like you're a much bigger fan of the series in general than I am.
I am a pretty big fan of the series. It was, I mean, every year I was more than happy to pick it up on the GameCube. But Mario Party 10, man, I'm not feeling it, and I want to be. I want to be feeling it like Shulk. I want to be really feeling it.
It gets back to the car mechanic, right, of Mario Party 9. All the boards you've seen take place in some kind of vehicle where you only have control of where you go 1/4 of the time.
Yeah. It's funny because they have announced that Mario Party 10 is going to have a classic mode where the car is not there and Bowser's not there. But here's the problem that I have. Is it going to be classic as in Mario Party 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? Or is it going to be classic as in Mario Party Island Tour? Because those game boards suck, as we already established. It has to be pay 20 coins, get a star, explore the board. That's what I want. Like, that's it. That is the part of Mario Party that didn't get old. That still worked.
The fact that they haven't... there's 2 things that concern me. 1, they haven't shown it off yet.
Right.
And 2... if they're not building the game around that, it's going to be hard for me to imagine that being that great. Like, and we've already seen, in Mario Party Island Tour, where they tried doing all these different ideas, and none of them turned out to be particularly good. And I feel like the same thing is going to apply here. They're not dedicating all their resources to making one concept work. I don't see how it's going to be great, especially when the emphasis does seem to be on the Mario Party 9 style of board games, because that's what they showed off in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, I'm definitely hoping it turns out great. I want to be wrong on this, but from what I've seen so far, Mario Party 10 just looks like something I'll play when it originally launches, just so I can cover it and check it out a little bit with friends, and then ultimately it'll just be a sad, tear-stained game case sitting on my shelf.
Yeah, no, I hope for the best for it too. I mean, the Wii U is a pretty good party system. It has some great multiplayer games, and having a good Mario Party would be awesome. But I just don't know if this is going to be it. And I don't. Do you think they'll finally do online with this one?
Yeah. So that's another question. Like, everybody obviously really wants online Mario Party.
Yeah.
I've always felt like that's not as easy to pull off as some people might think, because, you know, a party game online, you got to make sure it's really fun to play, which is going to be different. If you have people on the couch next to you, you have your friends in person, that's a little bit different than actually digitally playing with them.
It is, yeah.
I do want that. I do want to see some really cool online stuff in Mario Party, and I hope that they do it in Mario Party 10, but they haven't talked about it, have they?
No, I don't think they mentioned it at all.
Yeah, so this is really one of those things where I guess time will tell.
Yeah, that applies to many facets of this game.
So when do you think it's, for the final thing, when do you think it's going to launch? When would you predict it?
That's a good question. I mean, I would think it'd be a great holiday title, but I have a feeling it's going to come out well before then. I mean, they were already showing off at E3 last year. I think there's a chance it'll come out either around E3 or shortly thereafter. Like, they may want to give it one more run at E3 before releasing it. So I would say sometime around mid this year.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I'm going to predict a little bit earlier than that. I think this is going to be a game that Nintendo talks about in their next Direct, and they give us a release date, and I think the release date will be like March.
Yeah, could be.
I would like for it to be next holiday season so that they have a lot more time to work on it and really deliver something very impressive. But I don't think Nintendo generally looks at Mario Party as being a series they really want to labor over.
Yeah, which does seem to be the case.
Is sad to me.
No, I'm with you. Like, I was a huge fan of the Mario Party back in the day, and it's lost a bit of its mojo since then. So,
well, if it's online, we will compete against each other.
Oh, yes, we will.
All right. I think this is a good...
And you actually might have a chance of that, too, but it's completely luck-based, right?
This is a good part to end it. Andre, thank you very much for joining me.
Of course.
Be sure to check out Game Explain, everybody, if you're not already for some reason. Nick's a huge fan, so there you go. There's a recommendation for you. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.